Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. So we have a forecast of 2 degrees for low coming up tomorrow night, I think it is. It was supposed to be tonight, but I think they've changed that to tomorrow night. But so I've been dragging my feet, getting things cleaned up and in the house protected for anything that needs to be, and I've pretty much run out of time, so I need to get that done today. So I already went through yesterday and I grabbed any peppers. I grabbed any peppers or tomatoes or anything that I still wanted off my plants outside. I've got that dealt with. Now I need to go, there's a few plants like some coleus and some sweet potato vines, some fuchsias that I like to take cuttings of. Hey Buster. And get those cuttings taken and inside, and I might even try to do a few off of some of my hydrangeas. I've never done that before, so that's purely experimental. The others I've all done before, and they're easy to take cuttings and overwinter inside, so you have kind of a jump start for the next year. And then my dahlias really have just started to really perform this month, so I want to get as many flowers of those as well as my cosmos and that, and just, you know, try and get one last bouquet cut before the frost takes it all out. And I'm just going to go around and just see what I can clean up and collect before the frost comes, because I'm pretty sure we'll get the frost with this one. That's the lowest number we've had yet. So I'm just going to go around and just do a few of those little things. I also need to get things like my lemon tree inside. So that's just what I have on the go today, and I thought I'd bring you along for some of it. So one of the first plants that I want to get cutting off of is this coleus. This is chocolate drop coleus, and unfortunately it's a little bit late in the day to be doing this because the sun is hitting these really hard right now. They're a little wilty, but I know they have had enough water in them and they'll be okay. It's best to try and find some, like you can see some of them have gone to flower, but I've been deadheading them, so they're not sending seeds yet. So they should be okay. They should still root. For me, if you have coleus that have really like grown up and set seed in that, try and find a spot where you have a place you can take a cutting where there hasn't been seed set. That'll give you the best chance for getting it to root. And all I'm going to do is take a cutting and put it in the water here to root. So I'll show you how I do that. So like I said, I'm going to look around and see if there's anywhere that hasn't flowered, but I might have to take somewhere with a flower on it. So this spot here, I'm going to trim down, and there is a small flower starting, but it's very small. It hasn't taken too much energy. The plant hasn't kind of moved into full seed set production yet, so I think we're okay. And then I have several sets of leaves coming off the main stem. So I'm actually going to cut down one more spot here, and I'm going to take off these bottom sets of leaves. And what we're trying to leave is the nodes. That's where the leaves were growing out of along the stem. So you want something with a main stem that has those nodes coming out the sides, and that's where the roots are going to form. And then you just want like 2 or 3 leaves. You don't want too many leaves taking energy, but you need some leaves. So then I'm going to cut the very bottom below that node off, because that's just going to rot away in the water. You don't need that. And then I'll just pop that in my water. And once I have them inside and proper in that, I'll make sure the leaves are up out of the water. But for now, it's fine to just sit there in the water. And those little nodes where I took the leaves off are where the roots are going to form, so you want them in the water. So I'd set another one here. Where did it go? There it is. So there was 2 kind of stems coming off of that one, so I'm going to take another one off of there. And this one is just starting to form a flower bed at the top, so I can take that off. It's already cut pretty low to that bottom note. I'm just going to keep trying to go through here and see what I can find, and I'm going to try and take about 5 cuttings off of this. It's not guaranteed that I'll get roots off of all of them, so I like to take just a few extra and then I should get at least one rooting, if not several. And once you have them rooting in the water, you can just put them into a nice moist soil. I like to start with a very, very wet, almost waterlogged soil for the first almost week, like 3 to 5 days, and then slowly taper the water off. And that just prevents them from shocking too bad when you transition them from water to soil. So, and then you can continue to take cuttings all winter, so that once spring is there and you're ready to be putting out your plants for the next season, you should have lots of plants and be able to do that. Now, a lot of these plants will have bans on propagation and that on them. There's laws against that, but for doing it for your own home use, it's fine. You just don't want to be propagating them and selling them. So I know there'll be questions about that. That's really the point behind that, is that you're not profiting off of someone else's work and research to develop a nice plant. So just for your own private collection is fine. Okay, so I have my cup. I have 5 or 6 cuttings of the coleus here. So that's the coleus. Now I want to look for some sweet potato vine. So right here is my pots that I have right out in front of my garage, and I have some ipomia here, or sweet potato vine, and this one is called Spotlight. And it's a very pretty sweet potato vine. And sometimes I find it's a little bit difficult to find these darker varieties. So I'm just going to look. I just cut a big branch off here. But I'm going to go up to the top where there's some fresher growth. Do a cut. And again, I'm just going to strip the leaves off. And try and get down to just 2 or 3 sets of leaves on here, and then you can see there's lots of nodes coming off along the sides where I've stripped those leaves. I just want to have like 2 or 3 sets of nodes, so I'm going to trim it down like that, and that should give me a good start to get some roots there. Now, sometimes with sweet potato vine you can just put a leaf in, and sometimes you'll get a root off of it, but I find a lot of times that doesn't work that well. So I'm just going to go, you can try the older stems, but a lot of times the younger growth I find roots faster for me. So here's another one up here, and I'm not worried about just hacking pieces out of this plant because, like I said, the frost is probably going to just destroy it, and at this point in our season there's not a lot of reason to keep running out and covering up all my potted plants. So again, I'm just going to try and do 5 or 6 cuttings. And while I'm doing this, I'm looking at the plants to see if they look like they have any insect damage or disease that I don't want to be bringing into my house. I have house plants. I don't want to be spreading issues to them. So I'm going to be looking at that while I'm stripping the leaves and inspecting the stem for not just bugs but eggs as well. And again, with the sweet potato vine, once I get some rooted and growing, I'll be able to continue to take cuttings all winter to grow more plants. This kind of propagation won't work on a plant that has like just all the stems come up from the bottom like a monocot, but with a dicot like this that has a main stem that the other stems come off of, that's the kind of plant that this will work well with. Okay, so I think I have about 4 of them, maybe 5 in here now. Let's see what else we can find. Just a quick update while I'm out in the front yard, because I don't know if I've really updated you. This is the planter that I planted up in the front yard with the Boom Boom White Dahlia and some Osteospermum and some Ipomia. And then there was some sweet little sweet peas, which had finished but are coming back with the cooler weather. You can see them down there. They're just really small, short little sweet peas. They're only like 6 to 8 inches long, and they're trailing. Really pretty. They were mostly this pinky color and then a few of the purple, and they seem to be coming back in the autumn in the purple. But I've only had that for blooms so far, so it's been kind of disappointing, but it's been a disappointing dahlia year overall. So I don't think it's the variety, and I did get these tubers late and got them started late, so I'll save them and hopefully have a better show next year. While I'm here, I'll grab some of this Ipomia. It's usually pretty easy to get a hold of, but I have lots here, so I'll grab a couple cuttings off of it. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to take this one flower and see what this Boom Boom White looks like. I haven't had one open yet, but I'd sure like to see it. There's several other buds, but maybe I'll cover this one plant just to try and carry it through past that frost. Pop those in. Okay, let's go to the backyard. So I've just been doing the same thing here with my fuchsia. Just trying to come in and find a nice young stem, hopefully preferably one that's not flowering or setting seed, and just strip off the leaves up to just a few sets, and again just a few sets of nodes. Pop them in the water. This isn't the best specimen of fuchsia. It really struggled in our heat this year, but normally I can grow some nice fuchsia, and I do like to overwinter it when I get it and get a chance before the frost takes it. So haven't had it in a few years. It'd be nice to get another plant going that I can carry over for a few years here. And then I'm just cutting a little bit of the dichondra just to give it a try and see. And I'll just strip the stems down and I'll just put the rest in like this. And hopefully I get some roots off that dichondra, and I'm sure I will off the fuchsia. It's kind of hard to see in there because they're such small specimens, but like I said, the fuchsia struggled this year. It'll be much nicer in other years, I'm sure, if we don't have such a hot, dry summer, because normally it can really fill in this basket in part shade quite nicely, but not this year. So down at the base of the plant here, I think there's some pretty fresh growth here. It's not like super flimsy fine growth, it's not brand new, but it's definitely newer. So I'm going to take these 2 branches and just strip them down just like I did the rest of my cuttings that I took, and I'll trim that down like that. And this one as well. And I'm going to put those in water, and I'll try and find a few more and do the same thing. This one's a lot sturdier. I think it's an older branch. This one's a little bit flimsier, so this is one I want to take. There's a couple of, I think the browning on these leaves is probably just from the dry we've had by the looks of them. They don't really look diseased at all to me. Again, I'm going to just snip it back to that node, and I'll actually probably take this one more big leaf off. And let's see if we can find another one like that. So I always find when you're doing cuttings like this, like when I do the cherry trees or anything, especially things I'm experimenting with, but anything, I guess we just lost that one. the best thing to do is to take lots of cuttings and, you know, as many as you can, and then you might not have, probably won't have 100% success, but you have a higher rate of success the more you take, right? There's more chance of having some root for you. That's not the best cutting. I don't know if I'll be able to get that in the water, but see if I can find one more down in here. There's another one that looks like it should do a good job. And with the hydrangea, I'm not too worried about even keeping the form of the shrub because they tend to have a lot of dieback here anyways, and most of this growth, there was one stem this spring with nothing coming off of it, and I just trimmed it back to the live part of the stem, and you can see it's a pretty nice full little shrub now. So that's just how hydrangeas are here. So there. So I think that gives me 5. This one, I'm not sure I should even count it. But so these 2, and then I have 2 more in water already. They should, hopefully something will do something for me there. So there's the cuttings that I want to take in. So I have some ipomia or sweet potato vine in this cup here. I have some coleus right here. And then I have a mixture of the fuchsia, the hydrangea, and the, why did I just forget what this is called? Emerald Falls dichondra, that's what it is. So I'm going to be taking those in. You could set them on a bright windowsill. I have grow lights set up already, so I'll just set them on under under a grow light on a shelf in the water cups and just watch for roots. I'll probably separate them out and put them into something better where they can have the leaves out of the water and the stems down in the water. But now I want to look and see if I can find some flowers for cutting. Right away I have this gorgeous gladiolus here. I'm going to take that. These glads I planted, I think it was 4 weeks before my average last frost. As an experiment, I'd read you could do it, and they came up. I've cut lots of them already. I put them in a few different parts of the yard, and they came up in every spot and have been beautiful. So you definitely can plant them well before your average last frost. And now some of these zinnias, really when they're floppy like that, they're not really great for cut flowers, but since I'm going to be losing them to frost anyways, I'm just going to take them and enjoy them for even just a few days. I believe these are April in Paris sweet peas. They smell amazing. Just noticed this canna. Normally the seed heads don't get this large, but isn't that interesting? How large and fluffy they got on this one. So I'm going to see if I can use that. The flowers aren't worth saving, but this seed head, I think that could look really cool. I wonder if any more did that. That's really neat. I've never seen them get so large like that. I just cut this canna so you could see what their seeds usually look like. That there, that little green there, is what they usually look like. And that one I found is like humongous. So cool. So anyways, that's just deadheading. Okay, so one little spot and I got a decent bucket already. So what else can I find? Not very far from where I was, there's this Cafe au lait dahlia, and it is looking stunning. I'm going to cut it real low. It's kind of in the shade on you here. And there's actually other buds on it, but like I said, we're probably going to get frost. It's going to be a goner anyways. So. Gorgeous. Now I have, looks like just one Wizard of Oz. It's ready to cut. One needs to be deadheaded. I may throw a bouquet over some of these dahlias just so I can try and get a few more because they were so late. These are the anemones that I planted late because I received the corms, I think they are, late. And they started to bloom for me, so I'm going to try and get as low down on the stem as I can. These are supposed to last really well in a vase. This one's maybe a little past. And I think you're actually supposed to cut them at this earlier stage. So I'm going to cut a few. Like this. And I find crocosmia do really well in cut arrangements, so I'm going to take a few of these as well. Add those to the bucket. You can tell there's no real color palette I'm going for there. Grab a few cosmos if there's any decent here. I have to look up what this variety is. This beautiful buttery yellow, lemony yellow, I guess, maybe more. This Weigela is blooming, and I think it would be nice filler, plus it has some blooms on it, so grab a couple of those. This Rudbeckia just came up as weeds in the path, but I've been cutting it a lot of the summer. It's the Zinderella peach. So this is not opened yet. This is a little bit too far gone. They're just real petite. And I'm not sure if they were supposed to be that small, but they're really cute and they're great for adding just a little accent. All right, let's go find zinnias in the garden. So I grabbed a few from over in the next bed, this side of the California mix. I can see this one's covered in bugs, so I'm gonna leave it outside. And now these are the Benry's Giant over here. I've absolutely loved these orange zinnias. So I'm gonna leave this one, and with any luck, I'll get a little bit of seed out of it before the frost completely kills it off. There's another one here I'm gonna cut for today. It's a little bit too far gone for the glad to be cutting it, but like I said, it's probably going to be killed off by frost. Normally you'd want these flower buds to just be a little bit soft and just showing color up here, but I'm going to take it in anyways. Just as a little update, this is the fabric raised bed that I cleaned the beans out of and planted some cool season crops in a couple weeks ago now, I think. And I have radishes up. There's some volunteer beans. Where is it? Right there. It looks like the cabbage and cauliflower is coming up. I really don't expect to get anything out of the cabbage and cauliflower. It was just kind of for fun. And the beans, obviously, as soon as we get cold, they're going to be gone. Doesn't look like I have really any lettuce. There's a volunteer bean there, but maybe a couple little lettuce plants. But I had a couple of doves really enjoying that little area. Looks like I maybe have a couple lettuce plants way over there. And then the Swiss chard is coming up, and the spinach is coming up. What was this? Pak choy. And I haven't put this thing up properly yet. And down there is the kale, and it's coming up as well. So I might get something out of this before it gets too cold. I've put this little mini greenhouse on it now. I haven't staked it up properly yet. It's supposed to be 25 today, so I just opened the window to stick the camera in, but this one doesn't have mesh on it. I'll close that back up, but there's mesh windows on the other side that are open to let some air flow. I don't think there's anything where I planted the beets coming up. So I don't know if I'm going to get any of those. So this is my lemon tree that I like to bring inside for the colder months. It can't handle the cold weather, and it's ready. It needs to go inside now before we get that frost. So I'm just going to go through and take off some of the damaged leaves. It's had a rough summer like everything else. Just groom it up a little bit. And then when I'm bringing plants in from outside, I like to put something on the soil that's going to help kill off any insects or eggs, like gnats, fungus gnats, anything in there. So this is a good product that'll work for that. And I'll just have to keep watering this for the next few days just to keep them moist, and then the eggs will come out of here and hatch, and these little nematodes will hatch out of here, and they'll eat any of the eggs and insects that are possibly in this soil here. I'm also going to go through with just a general purpose insecticide. Now I know I can see there's no ladybugs or bees or butterflies or anything beneficial on this, and it's going to be going right in the house right away. So I'm just going to go and spray it with just a general miticide insecticide. This is the Safer Zendol. I've already mixed it up according to the package directions. I'm going to thoroughly spray it to get the undersides of the leaves, the stems, and just completely drench it. I really don't know if that affects these at all, but I'll be coming back in and applying this again later on. And I'm going to try and just bend the plant over to get most of it so it's not dripping on the soil, and just get the leaves drenched with this. So I'm just going to get on that. So that's thoroughly drenched now. It can go inside. So that's all I'm going to do to prepare this lemon tree to take it inside. I'll put it in as bright a spot as I can when it goes in, because the indoor light is never as strong as the outdoor light. So even though this does sit in the shade in the afternoon, it's used to some pretty bright morning sun, and it'll appreciate some good bright sun when it goes back in the house. So I managed to get some cuttings taken that I can set inside to hopefully get some roots on them and preserve these plants for next year. And a lot of nice blooms and greenery cut that I can hopefully put together one really nice bouquet before the frost takes a lot of these plants away on me. And my lemon tree is in the house. So it's really nice to get those things checked off the list before the cold comes and makes it too late for those jobs. So hopefully you enjoyed this kind of mishmash of just kind of getting ready for that cold that I'm sure is coming tomorrow night. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.